state. Joel, first, just explain to us what's the significance of the U.S. hosting this event for the first time in 28 years?
Ashley, it's great to be with you. This event is a major event, the major event for the Western Hemisphere. And for the United States to be holding it, we are essentially organizing the Western Hemisphere right now around an agenda that is reflective of our priorities and also of those of our neighbors, but demonstrating to the region that we care. And I think that's what's crucial right now, is that President Biden is signaling again directly to the Western Hemisphere and around the world that American global leadership through diplomacy is back. It doesn't always look pretty. It's not simple, but that's what dialogue is all about. And that's what we're seeing here. These are hard meetings, as your preamble said. There are some people that aren't coming. Some countries aren't showing the heads of state, but that's okay. That's what engagement is all about. So this is a real strong showing of American leadership.
And can you explain, some people learned about this event because of the controversy, because that is how the world works. So Can you just kind of put some context behind that? Can you explain why some leaders from Latin America decided not to show up?
Yeah, Latin America is in a lot of flux right now politically. There's a rise of leftist leaders, leaders who are very critical of the United States. There is serious turmoil in Central America. I served in the Peace Corps in Central America. It's a region that has long had a lot of social turmoil, and right now we're seeing the immigration flows up north from the Northern Triangle countries in Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador. And so there's a lot of political dynamics happening right now, and that means that some countries don't want to participate. And then we add to that the autocratic nature of certain countries, of Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua. And the president's trying to put a firm line in the sand and saying he actually wants to engage with democracies directly. He'll talk to those other countries, but he doesn't want to invite them into his home. And that's why they weren't invited into this summit.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting about it is migration is obviously such a big issue. People talk about it all the time. It impacts all of us. So I think there's a concern about how much can it be discussed or handled at this summit without those key leaders being in attendance. Is that a concern?
It is a concern, absolutely. It's crucial that we have a relationship with the governments of the countries that are experiencing outflows of their own citizens who are migrating up north to the United States through Mexico. But that doesn't mean that we stop. And we've seen Vice President Harris strongly lead, engage with these countries, engage with leaders, engage with civil society and business community. There were many initiatives rolled out this week, significant investments going into the region. So while the leaders may not want to show because there's a political imperative to stay at home, they're still going to have to confront these problems, and they're still going to find the United States willing to engage them as a partner and as someone who, as a country who really sees it in our best interest to engage. So their not being there is a piece of the puzzle, but we've seen a lot coming out this week that demonstrates a real commitment to trying to deal with the root causes of why people are leaving these countries.
Yeah. And on the other hand, we were talking about nations that did not show up. But can you explain, why is it a big deal that President Biden held a meeting with the president of Brazil?
Well, Brazil is the largest country in South America. It's the home to the Amazon, which are the lungs of the world. Climate change is the top priority for Latin America, top priority, frankly, for most of the world right now in terms of the fear of it. And if Brazil continues to deforest its Amazon, it's going to harm all of our efforts to combat climate change. And Bolsonaro, while he is autocratic, he was democratically elected, and then sometimes it's just what you got to do. And that country has a major sway on the politics of the region. So the president meeting with Bolsonaro, while not necessarily a welcome figure in Los Angeles, it's a necessary meeting.
Joel Rubin, every time you come here, I learn something. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Ashley.
Absolutely. We'll be right back.